Hello. I'd like to talk about the last half of this decade, the period from this year, 2020-25 to 2030, an unbelievable rate of change. Daniel 12:4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. We are living at the time of the most rapid change ever in history. Ecclesiastes 10:20. Curse not the king, no, not in thy thought, and curse not the rich in thy bedchamber. For a bird of the air shall carry the voice, and that which hath wings shall tell the matter. So even in Bible times, it was surveillance was even thought of back in those days. But today, surveillance has gone to a whole other level. Pros and cons of AI surveillance. In law enforcement, AI surveillance, like facial recognition, predictive policing, and data analysis, do enhance crime detection and prevention. However, the other side of the coin is the possibility of violation of privacy. While these tools can improve efficiency and public safety, they also raise concern about privacy, bias, and potential civil liberties violations. In the case of law enforcement, it we may be headed for a type of minority report scenario. In this movie, in the year 2054, the federal government plans to nationally implement the Washington, D.C. prototype pre-crime police program, which has been operating since 2048. Potential killers are placed in an electrically induced coma and held in a special prison. Retinal surveillance scanners are installed all over the city. It seems likely that some version of this may be in development by 2030. While everyone wants to prevent crime, what is considered criminal depends on one's worldview. If, for example, Christianity is considered criminal, what is to stop law enforcement from using AI to find and punish any sort of Christian behavior? The violation of privacy. AI can analyze more extensive and detailed data about people than through video or other means alone. What is the quantity of monitoring considered acceptable? Where is the dividing line between security and intrusion? AI can track everything that a person does, his or her every movement, behavior, interaction. For example, about 30 churches use an AI app that recognizes a person's face and monitors their movement in church to produce a full profile of everything they have been doing. Participation is voluntary in this case, but similar technology is in much more widespread use. Consent is an important ethical aspect. In most cases, people don't even know when they are being surveyed with AI systems. Consent should be informed and voluntary, but this is quite challenging to implement. How does the question of consent apply to the use of AI surveillance systems in public places or government-involved agencies? It is inevitable AI will be used for other purposes outside their scope. AI surveillance systems could be used against persons based on race, religion, or politics. Information collected through AI surveillance can be accessed by data thieves. It is important to protect the personal information of the individual. If churches are using AI surveillance to monitor members, what will a godless society and government do in monitoring citizens? Hopefully, America won't follow China's example. China, as the number 2 AI power after the US, has been making a lot of noise so far in 2025. A very efficient and powerful Chinese AI model called DeepSeek has been a big concern for Wall Street and the US in general. The Chinese started DeepSeek a year ago, and their breakthrough has been called AI's Sputnik moment. DeepSeek can nearly equal famous US rivals, including OpenAI's GPT-4, Meta's Llama, and Google's Gemini, but at far less cost. DeepSeek said it spent only $5.6 million powering its base AI model. US companies are spending billions of dollars on their AI technologies. This is despite the fact that the United States has restricted the supply of high-power AI chips to China because of national security concerns. DeepSeek was able to achieve its low-cost model on relatively underpowered AI chips. Chinese drone technology. The Chinese company DJI, which controls around 70% of the global consumer drone market, is showing what it can do. Chinese drone makers in general and DJI in particular are under US government scrutiny. DJI announced a software update in January for operators in the US. The geofencing function, which prevented the drones from flying in restricted areas, such as airports and military bases, no longer operates. Instead, when flying in a restricted area, the drone will simply issue a warning message. This may explain some of the drone activity over New Jersey in recent months. Some of the activity has been over restricted airspace. The US is considering a complete ban on Chinese drones in the US on national security grounds. Some experts think that some of the drones are military grade Chinese surveillance drones or even UAP. Proverbs 29:9. If a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. President Barack Obama is quoted as saying, "The first rule is, don't do stupid stuff." It appears that Democrats aren't taking that advice. Some have supported Hamas after it attacked Israel, tried to defund the police, supported the open border policy, and LGBTQ priorities. These things and others are increasingly unpopular, which has brought in a revolution of common sense. In 2021 and 2022, Democrats controlled the presidency and Congress, and their policies contributed to excessive inflation and an explosion in cross border migrations. Democrats had relaxed border policies and underfunded law enforcement policies at a time of an unprecedented surge of immigrants. Democrats have supported unpopular spending that has produced the highest inflation in 40 years, an open border that has resulted in over 8 million illegal immigrants, sanctuary cities with democratic governments, a climate agenda that has driven up energy prices, lax law enforcement, a crime wave, and a weak foreign policy. In contrast, early 2025 common sense executive orders coming from the White House include some of these things. Initial rescissions of harmful executive orders and actions, ending the weaponization of the federal government, restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship, ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs, and preferencing protecting the American people against invasion. defending women from gender ideology extremism, restoring biological truth to the federal government, protecting children from chemical and surgical mutilation, ending radical indoctrination in grades K through 12, eradicating anti-Christian bias. 1 John 4, 1 through 3. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that confesses not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world. By definition, a close encounter of the fifth kind is one in which there is a two-way contact with a supposed extraterrestrial entity. This can be through some audible form of communication or by some form of mental telepathic communication. The contact can be initiated by either a human or extraterrestrial. Christopher Bledsoe is the author of the #1 best-selling book, UFO of God. Chris is a UFO experiencer and a strong believer in God. He has experienced more than his share of tragedy and hardship, such as the death of his first wife, horrific serious injuries and sicknesses. He is a former member of the Pentecostal Holiness Church of Falcon, North Carolina. On January 8th of 2007, Chris Bledsoe, his teenage son, and 3 friends went fishing on the banks of the Cape Fear River. Shortly before nightfall, Chris walked out by himself and sat under a large tree. He cried out to the sky for someone, anyone, to help him. Later in the evening, Chris and the other men experienced a life-altering encounter with UFOs, celestial beings, and missing time. The UFO investigative organization MUFON raised awareness of his experiences. This led to his church accusing him of demonic activity, and he was effectively ousted as a church member. At about the same time, he was afflicted with Crohn's disease. Rejected by the church, crippled by disease, and with no job to support his family, he was at the limit of his endurance. He was answered by a beautiful woman appearing to him, the ancient Egyptian goddess Hathor, wife of the sky god Horus and mother of the pharaohs. He was cured of Crohn's disease and his life improved. Perhaps if he had been treated better at his church, he would have called on the name of Jesus rather than anyone to help him. Perhaps if he had more Bible knowledge, he would have rejected the pagan goddess. Soon, NASA and the CIA became involved with the Bledsoe family, and their support and testimonials vouched for the authenticity and significance of his encounters. He has maintained telepathic communication with the entities and can often summon them to appear. He has videotaped mysterious orbs hundreds of times in the sky over his property. Bledsoe was told by a NASA engineer that he was needed by them to communicate with the ETs, since NASA could not. The phenomenon still visits the Bledsoe family to this day and affects the lives of many people. Bledsoe appears to be a well-intentioned man. He believes that those who see his experiences as demonic should be willing to keep an open mind. He regards it as a blessing. Chris has dedicated his life to understand why his experiences continue and why they are increasing 100-fold. He is passionate about keeping an open mind and working with those investigating the reality of UFOs. Most importantly, he is interested in understanding the consciousness connection with the phenomena. He has been interviewed on Fox News and has appeared on the History Channel. He has a huge following on the internet. Bledsoe has predicted that Jesus Christ will return on Easter 2026. He states that this prediction stems from a vision about celestial alignments, specifically involving the star Regulus appearing on the horizon in front of the Sphinx in Egypt. The involvement of Bledsoe with NASA and the CIA is very likely a part of the emerging world religion. Another initiative comes from former military insiders who summon UFOs partly using electronics. Humans are also used to connect with the UFOs, much like Bledsoe does. This group is seeking universal consciousness, proving the reality of contact with non-human intelligence would quickly transform the world belief system. Christians will stand strong if they are exercised in gifts of the Spirit, such as the word of wisdom, the word of knowledge, and discerning of spirits. Proverbs 10:4. He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. President Trump has charged the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, with modernizing federal government technology and software to maximize government efficiency and productivity. AI is used to locate waste, fraud, and abuse. It's also used to integrate AI into government processes to increase efficiency. The completion date of the first phase, July 4th, 2026. DOGE, led by Musk and powered by AI, has rapidly dug deep into federal agencies and taking sweeping actions to cut spending. This includes massive layoffs and closing wasteful programs. Musk is quoted as saying, we need to stop government spending like a drunken sailor on fraud and waste, or America is going to go bankrupt. That does mean a lot of grifters will lose their grift and complain loudly about it. Too bad, deal with it. Musk's team has tapped into computer systems, searching for waste, fraud, and abuse. Last week, Musk has called for the U.S. to delete entire agencies from the federal government. A list of savings as of mid-March totals around $100 billion. This is a small fraction of Musk's initial goal of $2 trillion in savings. Further cost savings may be possible by inserting AI into government processes, increasing efficiency. Some are using extreme measures to undermine DOGE. Currently, acts of domestic terrorism are occurring against Musk's Tesla cars and their owners. The next phase of DOGE's strategy, primarily after Musk leaves in July of next year, is to centralize. The goal will be to combine core administrative functions like procurement, IT, and finance across agencies under a single umbrella. DOGE is still racing toward a $1 trillion savings goal. AI-DOGE and privacy rights. 1974 Privacy Act explicitly states that in order to protect the privacy of individuals, identified in information systems maintained by federal agencies, it is necessary and proper for the Congress to regulate the collection, maintenance, use, and dissemination of information by such agencies. The Privacy Act assured firewalls between government agencies to prevent the sharing of information between departments without clear justification and oversight. Under presidential authority, DOGE has expanded the scale and pace of artificial intelligence used to determine job cuts. Shortly after Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that AI would be used to analyze social media accounts, of all foreign nationals identified as sharing terrorist sympathies. ICE agents arrested Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian student protester. A Trump executive order asserts that the United States must ensure that admitted aliens and aliens otherwise already present in the United States do not bear hostile attitudes toward its citizens, culture, government institutions, or founding principles. Critics contend that DOGE surveillance is targeting free speech. DOGE has asserted rights to taxpayer records under the purview of finding fraud. The DOGE AI model is trained on government data and is a central repository of data. The more information consolidated within the model, the potential for violation of privacy rights increases. Prediction errors and statistical mistakes can also create false justifications for continued data collection. The very presence of the AI apparatus is a concern to critics. A court order restricting access to data was rescinded, the judge ruling that there was a lack of evidence that meaningful harms have materialized. The law cannot function in anticipation of abuses. Consolidating government agency data could contribute to dragnet behavior, defined as any systematic screening of all members of a population in order to discover a few members with specified characteristics. Critics also worry that the authorized access can be used for unauthorized purposes. DOGE supporters contend that the AI surveillance is needed to drain the swamp. Eliminating fraud and abuse in the government is worth the risks involved. It is likely that abuses of AI surveillance are and will be taking place no matter who is in power. Proverbs 16:2. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. Anti-DOGE hysteria, no ideas of their own, protests instead of action, Trump derangement syndrome. Democrats are becoming more liberal, but America remains more conservative. One of Democrats' traditionally most important groups, young voters, is becoming more conservative too. These trends may lead Democrats into long-term minority status. Recent polling indicates that Americans strongly support Trump's agenda. Liberals are still America's smallest ideological group, 25% of the public versus 37% conservatives and 34% moderates, even as Democrats become decidedly more liberal. In 2024, Gallup found that liberals comprised 55% of the party, an all-time high. Democrats have moved away from the leading ideological group. Over the last 3 years, Republicans have made gains with several demographic groups, from 27% to 36% among Hispanics, and from 12% to 17% among blacks. However, their improvement from 33% to 39% of young voters is especially significant. Will the Trump agenda succeed up to the midterms in 2026? DOGE, tariffs, foreign policy? Will the Democratic Party continue to implode? No competent leadership, unpopular policies, or lack of any policies. Control of Congress hangs in the balance. Will the country continue to the right? Will the Trump agenda continue past 2026 or face opposition from a Congress controlled by the Democrats? If Democrats control Congress, will they attempt to impeach Trump? Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed his opinion about the proposed 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine, saying he agrees with the idea of ending hostilities, but needs assurances that any deal would eliminate the original causes of the crisis. President Trump has said that Ukraine would have to make territorial concessions to Russia and that its desire to join the NATO alliance would not be supported. Trump also said that the negotiations are a complicated process of redrawing international boundaries. You're sort of creating the edge of a country. A poll from Reuters and Ipsos found that 56% of Americans felt Trump was too closely aligned with Russia. The US and Ukraine agreed to quickly reach an agreement on a mineral deal. The deal was stalled after President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky engaged in a widely broadcast argument. This led to the Trump administration's pause on military aid for Ukraine. Trump's success or failure in helping to bring peace to Ukraine may strongly influence how well Republicans do in the 2028 election. Both the presidential and congressional races are key to the direction of the country going into the 2030s. Will the Democratic Party get its act together and develop strong alternate policies? Will the Democrats have a strong presidential candidate? But the election is only one of many huge developments at the end of the decade. Matthew 20:6. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle? They say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. AI is bringing enhanced productivity, improved healthcare, and increased access to education. Artificial intelligence is rapidly becoming a fundamental part of how industries operate. AI is streamlining workflows and optimizing production, as has been predicted for decades. AI has taken off at an exponential rate. However, for jobs that are manually repetitive, AI and robotics may be a disruptive force. By 2030, AI is predicted to change the workforce in ways that have never been seen before. Up to 30% of U.S. jobs could be impacted by AI and automation over the next decade. AI-driven software can handle tasks like data analysis, scheduling, customer service. This is causing a shift not only in manual labor, but in office jobs. It is hoped that AI will create jobs to replace the ones lost. According to the World Economic Forum, AI and robotics are eliminating millions of jobs, but creating millions more in areas like AI development, data science, and human AI collaboration. So as we look ahead to 2030, it's not just about whether AI will take over jobs, but how we can prepare ourselves for the future AI economy. Not all jobs are equally at risk. This is becoming evident as AI technology develops. Repetitive and rule-based tasks like data entry, basic accounting, and customer service are prime targets. Jobs with minimal need for emotional intelligence are more likely to be replaced by AI. Jobs like bookkeeping and assembly line labor are more vulnerable. Jobs in sectors such as healthcare and education are among those least likely to be replaced by machines. Efficiency and cost effectiveness drive automation. AI can process information at extremely fast speeds, working continuously for hours on end without the need for benefits. Self-checkout lanes and AI-driven inventory control are already becoming more common. The potential for AI is particularly high in industries where reducing labor costs significantly impacts profitability. Customized AI technology such as autonomous vehicles may pose a threat to jobs in logistics such as truck drivers. By 2030, many jobs are projected to be largely automated due to AI's rapid evolution. Matthew 20:8. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. Ezekiel 16:49. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. Universal Basic Income, or UBI, provides regular payments to all individuals in a community, regardless of their employment status or financial need. The idea is that when everyone has enough money to satisfy their basic needs, the overall well-being of society at large is enhanced. Supporters say that the universal basic income will reduce poverty and income inequality, improving mental and physical health. In the long run, it could potentially increase job growth. Other experts say that UBI will create high costs and reduce the incentive to work. Elon Musk, head of DOGE, has said universal basic income is inevitable but will be terrible for humanity. Musk clearly has a good understanding of the development of artificial intelligence. In Musk's opinion, AI will change the world so that hardly anyone will even have a job. This will require governments to pay out a universal but high basic income. Musk thinks that since most people derive value and purpose out of working, those without jobs could suffer from depression. As Musk has been quoted as saying, the question will really be one of meaning. If the computer can do and that robots can do everything better than you, then does your life have meaning? But Musk thinks that there is another option. Long term, any job that somebody does will be optional. If you want to do a job as kind of like a hobby, you can do a job, but otherwise the AI and robots will provide any goods and services that you want. For better or worse, Musk does see that universal high income, not even universal basic income, will be necessary. Psalms 122:6. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love thee. Zephaniah 2:4. For Gaza shall be forsaken, and Ashkelon a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up. President Trump's plan for Gaza's reconstruction is not gaining widespread buy-in among Palestinians and Europeans. The Arab world has an alternate plan called Gaza 2030. It is a $53 billion reconstruction program and proposes a new governing entity for Gaza. In the United States and Israel, if the United States and Israel get on board, there is still the issue of Hamas armament. Unlike the Trump plan, Gaza 2030 allows all 2 million Gaza Palestinians to stay there. Trump has recognized that the idea is not popular, saying nobody is expelling any Palestinians. The Arab plan calls for an independent committee to run Gaza for 6 months before handing control to the Palestinian Authority. Gaza would be cleared of rubble, new housing erected, roads repaved, electricity, water, and sanitation networks rebuilt. Funding would come from the United Nations and other financial institutions from around the world. This plan depends on the truce between the Palestinian Authority and Israel holding. These would have to be There would have to be Israeli-Palestinian talks leading to negotiations for a permanent peace deal. An international peacekeeping force would be needed. Hamas officials have said that they will refuse to disarm. Obviously, this would derail the plan. Ecclesiastes 9 and 11. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. Economic and intelligence control will be possessed by the world leader in AI. By the end of the decade, AI will have transformed the world. The economy will be an AI economy. One nation spy AI will counter the AI of enemy nations. The front runners in AI development are the US and China. The US is the undisputed leader in AI innovation with advanced tech support systems, the best research institutions, and freedom to pursue new ideas. The US has the largest share of global private AI funding, with billions invested every year in new technologies. Major US companies like Google, OpenAI, Amazon, and Microsoft lead the global AI scene, with new startups continuously sparking innovation. U.S. universities and institutions publish a big percentage of major AI research papers. The U.S. has created pioneering AI models like GPT and is making advancements in autonomous systems. The U.S. plays a key role in shaping global AI ethics. The U.S. faces challenges in managing regulatory measures. There are concerns about privacy, accountability, and the potential misuse of AI systems. In the global AI race, there must be accountability to ensure that advancements benefit humanity as a whole. China is the United States' closest competitor. China leads the world in AI related patents, with a focus on controlling its intellectual property. AI is deeply integrated into China's government, economy, and smart city projects. Chinese universities and institutions contribute significantly to global AI research. China, of course, has a totally different approach than the US due to its centralized government. This allows rapid deployment of AI technologies with few guardrails. This raises concern about China's use of AI for surveillance and control. If China gains dominance in AI, it could affect global privacy, security, and geopolitical stability concerns. As part of the US China trade war, the US has imposed restrictions to prevent China from acquiring advanced semiconductor technologies critical for AI development. The US wants to maintain technological superiority and limit China's ability to become a global leader in AI. The international community is generally concerned about China's role in the AI race. In this race, there is no finish line, but artificial general intelligence, AGI, is predicted to occur by 2030. Is all of this leading to more political violence? The 2020 election, of course, sparked the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. In the run up to the 2024 election, both parties claimed that victory for the other party would be the end of America. In Trump's words, if we don't win this election, I don't think you're going to have another election in this country. There were similar statements from Democrats. Heading into the 2026 and 2028 elections, the socialist arm of the Democrat Party is trying to take control. Why are Democrats fighting to keep illegal aliens in the U.S.? Whose side would the immigrants be on if they became citizens? AI surveillance systems monitoring personal space, public places, and government involved agencies may be drastically increasing government control. It is inevitable AI will be used for other purposes outside their scope. AI surveillance systems could be used against persons based on race, religion, or politics. Information collected through AI surveillance can be accessed by data thieves. There is a danger in having so much personal data subject to abuse. The Chinese started DeepSeek a year ago, and their breakthrough has been called an AI Sputnik moment. China may be equaling or surpassing the US in some aspects of AI. Chinese AI is something to be watched closely. There's recently been an increase of drone and UAP sightings over restricted airspace in the US. Some experts think that some of these sightings are military-grade Chinese surveillance drones. The US must develop effective countermeasures. The Democratic Party policies are increasingly unpopular, which has brought in a revolution of common sense. Will this continue? Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind has become a major spiritual movement. Chris Bledsoe, a former Pentecostal, is a famous practitioner. Will this deception have an increased influence on Christians? As of mid-March, a list of DOGE savings totaled around $100 billion. Further cost savings may be possible by inserting AI into government processes, increasing efficiency. Some are using extreme measures to undermine DOGE, including acts of domestic terrorism. Democrats appear to be self-destructing. Anti-DOGE hysteria, no ideas of their own, protest instead of action, Trump derangement syndrome. Democrats are becoming more liberal, but America remains more conservative. Will this trend continue? Will the country continue to the right? Will the Trump agenda continue past 2026 or face opposition from a Congress controlled by the Democrats? If Democrats control Congress, will they attempt to impeach Trump? Trump's success or failure in helping to bring peace to Ukraine may strongly influence how well Republicans do in the 2028 election. Both the presidential and congressional races are key to the direction of the country going into the 2030s. Will the Democratic Party get its act together and develop strong alternate policies? Will the Democrats have a strong presidential candidate? But the election is only one of many huge developments at the end of the decade. AI and robotics are eliminating millions of jobs, but it is hoped that AI will create jobs to replace the ones lost. As we look ahead to 2030, we must prepare ourselves for the future AI economy. According to Musk, AI will change the world so that hardly anyone will even have a job. This will require governments to pay out a universal but high basic income. Those without jobs could suffer from depression since life would have no meaning. Would this contribute to unrest? Would this effectively be the rise of socialism? The Arab peace plan depends on Israeli-Palestinian talks leading to negotiations for a permanent peace deal. An international peacekeeping force would be needed. Hamas officials have said that they will refuse to disarm. Obviously, this would derail the plan. The international community is generally concerned about China's role in the AI race. In this race, there is no finish line, but artificial general intelligence, AGI, is predicted to occur by 2030. Heading into the 2026 and 2028 elections, the socialist arm of the Democrat Party is trying to take control. Why are Democrats fighting to keep illegal aliens in the U.S.? Whose side would the immigrants be on if they became citizens? Revelation 17:16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Because of the divisiveness and violence in the United States, the possibility of civil war looms large. Alarming and potentially violent scenarios are possible. The left-wing lawfare against Trump during his first term and during the Biden administration intensified right-wing threats to the judiciary and his opponents. Before the 2024 election, there was 2 assassination attempts against Trump. Elements on the far left in this country are escalating militant threats. Protests over the Gaza war, both on college campuses and in communities across the nation, are circulating on social media. At a pro-Palestine protest at the White House in June of 2024, one protester held up a decapitated likeness of President Joe Biden's head, while crowds chanted "Revolution." After the election, President Trump began pressuring colleges to control anti-Semitism on campus and deporting foreign Hamas supporters. There are violent extremists on both sides. Among gun owners in the United States, these sentiments are even more prevalent. It seems that risks of violence are rising. This should not be surprising. Political violence has been quite common in the United States, especially during the pre-Civil War era and during the Reconstruction after the Civil War. A possible outcome would be a takeover by a shadow government, still powerful, having resisted efforts to dismantle it. Thank you very much for listening.